Okay, welcome back to the Dirt Journal. This is a quest for details. I think when we left off, there was hardly anything built on this wall. Now, I recorded myself building it, did it all by myself. It took 12 hours to do. I did 2 pretty much non-stop days. The reason why I'm telling you about it all is because that's all gone. This is what it looks like now, so here's the after. The last Dirt Journal will have the before. Not quite done on it. Anyhow, here was the big boulder that we brought down the hill that was up there, rolled it down. Bam! This was on the stand up next to a mountain one. So we brought this down. Here's the top of the wall. There is a little section where you can still see the back side of it a little. So it is just this big massive thing. I still got to bring more of the dirt out here and level it out. And there's a couple spots I need some really thin flat stones I'm going to lay in here to level it out. But that's what she looks like right now. And that's what it worked out to. So this is all the natural stones off of the mountainside and then off down the road that I've been hauling in. All of that was lost on film too. So this is the recovery footage. To scale, I mean, this is a pretty big creature, and then this will be the back wall heading up here. That'll be a big old tall triangle. But yeah, it's connecting the upper half of the property with the lower half. Of course, this is where we did the other entrance features and stuff. But that's what it looks like. That was a pretty massive endeavor, but because we had the native stone here, you know, that was, it made it easier and made it quicker. So a word on that. Now you can call this permaculture because it's way more permanent than something made out of straw, something made out of wood, blah, blah, blah. It's not as permanent as solid concrete or granite or something, but that's that moderation that you want to find in permaculture. All that it meant, the base of it, is I'm trying to quote Bill Mollison as best as I can, is it's the opposite of planned obsolescence, which is where things are made to fall apart and degrade at a certain rate on purpose. That's planned obsolescence. It's brought into a lot of our economy since the 40s and 50s as a balance. It's kind of like the same as subsidizing, where they pay people not to produce off their land to balance out the economy so there isn't too much. So a lot of the industry in the world decided that they couldn't make things to last forever. They'd put themselves out of business. So permaculture would be the opposite of that. From a space station, it doesn't mean caveman stuff. It means from a space station, a skyscraper world, all the way down to, you know, stick, mud, hut reality, to build things as permanent as possible. And so to wrap this up, that's this serpentine has a certain crumble factor. It's whatever on the hardness scale, but it is stronger than wood. If we had wood, that's what we'd have to put here. If we didn't have wood, man, we might have to make adobe bricks and put it there. You know, throw bark on a slope until you can get there. So you make it as permanent as you can, as is reasonable. If you spend $1 million making this a steel granite wall and then you didn't have money, time, and resource to spread on the rest of the land, what have you done? So you want to keep your balance in moderation by using the things that you can the best as you can to make them last as long as you can, and that's all it is. So that's where we're at. That's what we've recovered of documentation of it. Try and get some above shots. You can climb up on this puppy. These are big old stones here. I don't know if you can see that, but it goes on down and around, and then the back wall will be here to hold up and retain the slope behind it that we've dug away at. It was actually it wasn't retained before. It was just grass and stuff, so we're not increasing the gradient or anything, but it will be wrapped in stone. Okay, peacocks, you cannot eat the little nitrogen pellets out of the top of there. That's a no-no. So these are some of the new stars of the show. One of these 2 lucky weepers will be the one that goes in the center of that. They can grow up to 15 feet in 3 years minimum. So You get them that size, they go crazy. These are red plums, they're a cherry plum. They're considered ornamental by some people. I love them. They're little red things. They mix with the yellow Santa Maria, which is also considered just an ornamental or whatever, and they make a blush. And they also, if you have Santa Rosa, the larger plums around, or any of the larger prunus, they can get pollinated and increase. They'll throw seeds down that when they have fruit are a mix of all three that can be large, like a Santa Rosa plum, and a little yellow and a little cherry plum. So they're kind of like flowers and sunflowers and stuff that mix really well. So we're going to put them as accents, but they'll also be fruiting, and anything you don't harvest off of them feeds the bees and feeds the birds and stuff. So whenever you can, pick something that's fruiting. Unless it's directly over like your porch or someplace where you don't want it and you can't maintain the fruit fall. But otherwise, all of nature could use the help. Right? Is this a true statement? So this is all cold stacked, no mortar. I haven't put a lot of little chinks and little fill, like unnecessary structure that you'd put in just for looks. But this is the puzzle work of it. Okay, there they all are in a row. Boom, 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 boom. Boom. So this one will be a big old tall mulberry. And cherry plum, another type of plum, the one in the middle, a big old mulberry. I think that'll look pretty swift. Little creeklet. So this rock was our marker rock, and kind of want to clean it up a little bit. We're not going to try and make it ornate out here because it is in the wildland, but we want to fight back the wild enough to let it establish and win at first, you know, to get strong, and then it can be a feature that just naturalizes and the stuff around it grows back a little bit more. Ooh, feels like good soil though. Look at that. Not bringing in a bunch of non-native soil. We're going to use organic matter that's around here. I'm actually going to turn some of this right upside down, as crazy as that seems, into the hole. Like I said, trying to... trying to de-vegetate a little bit right around it for pests, and so it just doesn't get inundated by all the things in the wild, because it's not a wild tree. So we'll use all this organic matter. The organisms that are here in the soil are used to breaking this material down. The soil is like a huge stomach, and the organisms in there are like your stomach, and they break stuff down so that the plants have something to eat. This is the fiber in the food. This also has about 2 inches of black ash and soot that this grass has grown through, and then the native topsoil, and this topsoil is really mineral. Burnt twigs, and they are half burnt biochar native stuff, and like I'm saying, the organisms that have been here for 1,000 years, thousands of years, eating this particular plant are designed to dissolve it, turn it into dirt. So you can't find a better composting method than turning the native stuff right on into itself. That's why tilling shows such instantaneous good results, is because not only are you using that mechanism, but you're killing off billions of microorganisms which release all of their stuff into the soil, so it can appear temporarily fluffy. You've made it way more uniform, so it's going to compact down on you. That's how you make things compact, is making them uniform. That's why you don't till. And it's been totally obliterated usually. So we're not going very deep. We're going to put bark back on here to protect the organisms that are below this with UV stuff from the UV rays that would kill them off. And we're going to use that same tilling, composting magic inside this hole. But we don't add too much organic material and not enough mineralized, heavier rock, fines and soils. And then it'll help it from sinking down too much as it rots. You can see I'm getting a good medley out of there. I gotta still make room for the tree again. I'm gonna pull some of my stirrings out. And worms and everything else love to eat freshly stirred in fine organics like that. They sit down there just waiting for it to fall. Okay, we're gonna set this tree in here. Make a little bit better pocket. So here we are. You can see I've created a little ledge here up out of this little creek. Now this isn't a crazy thing, it just comes out of about a 12-inch culvert here. It runs down on only seasonally into the main water. So you can see that those are actually just little chutes and ladders in the soil now that things will eat, that'll feed it, that'll let water pass down there. Here, because it will feed lots of nitrogen from the black and lots of phosphorus and potassium from the white, nitrogen for your vegetative parts of your plants, the green, the leaves, the phosphorus and the potassium for the flowering parts of your plants. We will go ahead and slip some of these in there. It's not crazy at all. If you were to dig them up, they would have white mycelium wrapped all around them, a type of fungus, and these roots would be connected to that mycelium, it eating this and all this other stuff, and then feeding through the connections into the roots. Plus, these are going to be water chases. So the soil isn't compact, but if it were, these would be spots. Water could slip down just a little bit here and there. Just like nature does, it drops a branch here and there, but water could slip down there. When they rot, they'll literally be a tunnel. They're an easy spot for organisms to crawl through. There's absolutely no damage that can come to your tree from this, I promise you. No matter what paranoid thoughts you hear or come up with. Not that any of you would have paranoid thoughts, but people start asking me about, what about root molds and all this? And you need, I will show you how much oxygen on a chart sometime, oxygen, water, and soil you need for a good balanced, what you call soil mixture. You know, how many parts on the pie chart of each. But I kind of do it by feel, and I'm telling you, plants that I've seen grow best in the world are the ones with the most sunlight, the water growing out of like composting soil. You know, aerated, watery, goodness. Which is, if you can take your hand, plow it into a bunch of stuff that's, you know, 50% native mineral, and then a bunch of organic stuff that's gonna break down quick, you're golden, you know? That's good stuff. That's good stuff. And you should smell it. It should stink like minerals. It should feel like dirt. Okay, there's a good test too. It's good stuff. Okay, so you can see there's the ground level. I'll rake it. That'll be the last thing with a little grass rake. That's how you make everything look all perfect. But there was the before, right? Craziness, stick a tree in there, you don't know. Now you've given it like the energy, the zone, the bubble. There's what that looks like from down below. I mean up above. So there's a little bit of a dish now. It's a little flat spot, you got the creek running through. Not exactly the prettiest shots, but you get the idea. And then look what I found back here. There's a little creek we cleaned out. Gonna move these branches. And then look, the road crew chipped up a bunch of bark and wood chips, so it's piled right then, so we can coat it now in a few inches just around here, not right up against it. And it'll keep the weeds from coming back heavy. We can throw desirable flowers out there. And as you're coming in the driveway and look down here, instead of just being wild with a little twig of a willow lost in it, you have this little detail. Okay, there you have it, bark from there, spread out there. First I took about that much of everything that was in a big hump back here. Let me show you the type of stuff it is. It's last year's dead and everything, and it's created this layer. And if you look in here, there's black. If you have quick enough internet right now, you can see that. That's blackness. There's a whole layer there. So I'm taking that, basically flipping it over and using it to grade. That's the part I didn't show you, is I'm not just throwing down bark. You see, here's about the edge. So instead of leaving raw dirt, I've put back wood chips. They'll protect all the organisms down under there. And it is crawling with mycelium. Can you see that? So that's wood chips that are just glued together with it. And as you spread that out and water that in, all of this becomes infected or inoculated. There's that root mold I was talking about. There's our original surface from the top of the pot. See, I'm putting down, what is that? 1/5 of a finger. It's gonna be a little coat. And the bottom of this is basically at water level, at the water table, in the middle of winter. So hopefully it'll chase it down. And that's what you have, is a little clearing here with your little willow in it. And this should turn into a big old beast here and kind of block the road off from the rest of the property. There you go. Little tree in a meadow in a clearing, Johnny Appleseed style. It's the best you can do, and then guard it and water it. That's always been done.